You had to be on stage or something. Okay, it says we're live now. So everybody rest easy. Sorry, we just had some technical. Huh? Yeah, look who's back up above Pam.
Hi.
Yeah. So Mike's first day night back with us. Sure missed him. He's been out for a while. So let me say hello real quick to everybody. Dragon Lair's got no video. And there's Huawei. And there's Susie Q in the chat. And that may be all that's in here. That'll be a short hello, huh? Craig's Catfish Cave. Hey, Craig. All right. So, everybody, Susie's still trying to get her sound going. So, she may be back and just be in the chat and type, or she may not. So, we could hear her, but she couldn't hear us. And our guest tonight, Sarah's back again, and she's really not a guest. She's a guest panelist because she's on the panel now. So we don't want to make her feel too special. She's one of us. So
Just
she's
special enough.
just special enough. That's it. She's going to be with us like once a month, and that we talked about it being a certain day, but scheduling proved that wasn't going to work at least this month. So
It happens.
she'll be with us one day a month for sure. So we've got some good guests coming up too, and if I can remember who they are, I'll mention them at the end. But they're so good I can't remember who they are. But that was part of the scheduling. So welcome back, Sarah. And
Hi, thank you for having me again.
oh, it's awesome to have you back. I've had people asking for you and asking why you didn't come back when we talked about, and
Oh,
people won't
well,
remember.
I had my 2-year wedding anniversary the same week that we were going to do this, and so we had to postpone. We were on our vacation.
I know
Husband
you'd
comes first.
rather do that than be up here with us, I guess. All right, there's Sue back. I don't know if she can talk or hear us or anything. Something's behind you, Pam. Hey, trash cat. I'm in shock. I can see Pam. I know, right? Pam's always spent so much time in hair and makeup, and then she doesn't show herself. So there we see her. It's a rare event. So anyway, Sarah's going to talk to us, I assume, about her snakes, and there was a lot of them last time that she didn't get to show us and didn't get to talk about. And about the third time, she said, I meant to grab that one and I didn't, or I didn't have time to grab that one. I'm like, you need to come back and show those.
Do I need to?
So she's still got some awesome snakes because I follow her on Instagram and I've been seeing them and I've been having to keep my credit card hidden. So
Hide it from yourself.
I hide it from myself. Oh my God, squirrels chewed my wires that go to all the computer stuff in my truck. Anyway, it was
Oh no.
$1,014 to
Oh
get
wow.
that fixed. Yeah, and I didn't even know if I could put that on a credit card. And then I thought, wait a minute, I wonder if insurance they're going to pay back every penny.
Did they?
Yeah, well, they're going to. I asked them
Okay.
today, and they said, yeah, it's covered. Damn
Good.
squirrels where I volunteer. So I parked out in the street today. I'm like, I'm watching for them. So, Sarah, do you want me to bring you up larger screen? Are you going to show us snakes, or how do you want
I
me to do this?
I do have a little over half a dozen snakes in here for you guys. I kind of just picked a few. I know last time we went over on time because I had a lot of snakes, but I brought some. Some of them were interesting ones, and I'm also here just to talk about whatever you guys want to talk about and whatever chat wants to talk about. If chat has questions or whatever, that's what I'm here for. And I have snakes in the process, so I'll just start with the one closest to me, I guess, because they are all here. I don't have Miss Cleo today. I know that everybody really liked her, but she is in shed today. All right, let's see. I'm gonna start with this little girl. Sorry, I don't have the good camera today. This is my laptop camera. It's just gonna have to do. But this isn't normal. She is a few months old, and she looks kind of brown right now, but she'll probably get really bright red. So and she's adorable. I have her and like 2 or 3 of her sisters, and they all look super similar. And I have too many of them. So if anybody's looking, this camera is surprisingly good for like getting the snakes. Like I'm
Yeah,
surprised at how good it is
she looks
compared
good.
to like having to do the weird focus thing on the other snakes. So yeah, thanks. She might be a yellow jacket. Her dad was, so there's a possibility for that. And she's number one. I don't know. I'm just here to I'm here to answer questions. I don't make content. I do make content, but
Yeah, you do.
today I have not made content. I guess this is the content I'm making. I'm just showing snakes.
What about you said you've got too many of them? That made me remember that last time you mentioned that you had like some special deals, or
Oh yeah.
you still have
So
that stuff.
I do. And I've been thinking about making a discount code or something, but I already on my website, sarahssnakeshop.com, I have like groups that you can buy. So if you are wanting just one, obviously you can go through. I have photos of each individual snake that I have available. So it's not like you're not going to go and see just normal corn snake and not know which one you're going to get. You're going to be able to see each one individually photographed on there. And of course, I always will take extra photographs for people who want it. Um, and so you can get one, or if you get a pair, I have like a pair discount, or just like pretty much the more you get, the more discounts you get. I also have mystery boxes. So if you are kind of wanting to breed, but you're not really sure like what good group would be, you can get a mystery box, or you can buy wholesale groups. And you can kind of request like, hey, maybe give me a few that would be good together, so that if I want to breed down the road, I'll be able to do that with what you send me. And so we have mystery boxes that will range in price. So pretty much we have a box to fit your price range. If you want to spend $500 and get 5 snakes, you can do that. If you want to spend $500 and get 2 snakes, you can do that with the mystery boxes. If you're kind of wanting to gauge on, you want to eventually breed something a little more high end, so you get the $500 box. Or if you just are kind of a casual breeder and you want to do the cheaper box, which has like 2 or 3 kind of lower end morphs, and you're kind of just doing it for fun, there's something for everyone.
That is cool.
I think so too. My husband thought of it. He's a genius. He's pretty much he's the one who came in here and fixed my audio earlier. I worked on it for like a half hour, and then he's like, "Oh, just push these 3 buttons," and then he fixed it. I have no idea, but either way. So yes, we have something for everyone, and there you can get a corn snake in almost any color. And I'm going to move down the line of the corn snakes that I brought in.
All right.
All of the little ones that I'll show you are available. And that's just me opening up the container that they're in. This one, a little bit on the opposite end of the spectrum of the one we just looked at. This is a snow. This one might be a little more difficult to get. Oh, the camera's doing a pretty good job. So this is a snow. You're not going to be able to see it, but this is a halo snow. And it pretty much just means like you can see the like pink and white. There you go. You can see the pink and white. If you just imagine yellow borders around the pink there, that's what halo does. And that is what these are. You just can't really see the yellow with my camera right now. And halo is a project I've been working on for 13 years. My line has been bred for personality and reasonable size as well. So if you're looking for something that's pink, yellow, and white and has over a decade worth of like personality breeding, then I got some for you.
All right.
And those, I bet, are a little pricey, aren't they, because of the rarity? Or
They're a little bit more. Yeah, they're not going to be the cheapest things out there, but they're definitely not the most expensive things out there. I actually lowered my price a little bit on them this year. Last year they were $250. Let me double check before I tell anybody anything incorrectly here, because I don't remember every price on everything. Yeah, so they're $150 this year.
Oh,
So they've gone down substantially in price, but
yeah.
that's kind of the price that everyone in the community is charging for them right now. So that's kind of just where I decided to also sit with them.
And all of
And
your snakes are sexed, right?
yes, yeah, I will be able to tell you if you have a male or female. No matter, I mean, the gender in for me is guaranteed for life. So, and the visual morph is also guaranteed for life. So, if if you down the road breed them and you find out that they, like maybe you did this for an anery and you didn't get any aneries, well, that would mean that this is not a snow, or the anery is not really an anery because of the combination of genes. So, for those of you who don't know, a snow is a combination of two different mutations, one that removes the reds and one that removes the blacks. So you're left with just the sort of pink, and the white and some yellow will come in. And so the gene that removes the reds is called anerythristic. And if you breed two anerythristics together, all of the babies will also be anerythristic. So breeding this to an anerythristic, if you don't get any anerythristics, that means that they're not both anerythristics, if that makes sense. And there's a few, I almost want to call them copycat morphs, but they're not really copycat morphs. They're just different morphs that look similar. And charcoal is one of those. It looks like a typical anerythristic, but it's not. And so that can come up. And all that rambling was just to say, if you do find that out down the road that I sold you the wrong morph, we have compensation for that. And same thing with gender, or sex, whichever you would prefer to say, I guess. If I sold you the wrong gender, then there's compensation for that too. But I guarantee it because I don't have a problem guaranteeing it.
Cool.
So there's that one. I do have others. So if anybody gets sick of one, just tell me to move on. I'm going to look through chat real quick. Okay, let's see.
I'm going to have to slap my hand. I'm already trying to be funny, and I'm not funny.
Oh, you can try. I'm trying to be funny, and I'm not funny either, so I get it.
I was going to say, where else can you get guaranteed sex for life? Sorry. Sorry.
Nowhere.
Sorry.
Let's see. Doesn't need more mouths to feed. Just needs 6 more months of frozen rats quail. Yep, I understand, Dragon Lair. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next baby. And if anybody has any questions or comments in chat, I am trying to read chat. Hold on. This little one is not wanting to go back in the enclosure. I know, buddy. I know.
Now that you can hear us, we can help you with chat too.
Yes, that would always be helpful. Okay, this is one that has some reduced black, but not taken away all of the black, and has retained all of the reds. So this is a Sunkissed, who is very feisty. That's kind of a personality trait of Sunkissed, in case anyone was wondering. There are nice ones out there, but it's very typical for a Sunkissed to be a little more feisty. But they're definitely gorgeous. There's the belly. The belly checkers are going to be brown instead of black. And that's why we call a hypomelanistic type. It turns the blacks into grays. And the Sunkissed are a little bit different than your typical hypo because they also have a slight pattern difference. You can see the head very well. But yeah, the head pattern is going to be quite different than your typical corn snake. These just ate like 2 days ago as well, so I might get pooped on. Yes, this one is a little angry, but she came from, she's the granddaughter of my very first corn snake. And I would keep her, but I'm already keeping like 4 of her siblings. So yeah, she's one of those that she may not be the best in personality, but she'd be great for a breeding project because she's got a lot of good genetics going on.
Very pretty.
Thanks.
Very pretty.
And mean. She just bit me again.
Dragon Lair almost pulled the trigger on a pair of high orange yellow rat snakes 2 days ago. Slapped my hand.
Ooh.
Oh, those sound pretty.
What made you not want to do that?
Yeah, he probably likes eating and having a place to live too much.
Oh yeah, those things. Yeah, those are kind of essential.
Pesky little things like that.
She's calmed down a bit. Yeah, I want them all. I mean, I have them all, and I still want them all.
I have eight corn snakes now, so Jesus.
It's easy. The other day, I met someone at a park to sell some of the snakes because I don't really. If I do like local pickups, I don't really want people at the house because I don't have like a facility. It's just my house, and so they said we're not sure which one we want, but we like the albino types, and so I took 4 amelanistics and 2 snows. And I made sure there was at least 1 male and 1 female of each. And one of them fell in love with the male amelanistic, one of them fell in love with the male snow. And so they went home with both of them.
Oh,
and
wow.
I said, well, corn snakes are like potato chips. You can't just have one. And
Exactly.
like, yep, sure enough. And so they got an enclosure and stuff on the way home for the second one. Which, like, I kind of feel bad when that happens, but also they didn't feel bad. They were very excited that they were both getting a snake. And they both just fell in love with the snakes that they were getting. So as much as it sucks to go spend a little bit more money on enclosures, I have no doubt that they're going to love them to death. Oops, she is ready to go back in her enclosure. She was ready to not be held when I was holding her. So let me grab the next one. Let's see who's closest to me. This one. So this is an amelanistic, removing all of the melanin, but keeping dreads. Also a little bit.
Oh, wow.
But she'll calm down. She's very, very beautiful. I absolutely love these amels this year.
Very pretty.
When you said she'll calm down, she whipped her head around at you really
I
fast.
will not calm down. How dare you assume such things about me? Yep. So if you like the more brightly colored ones, amels are definitely some of the more brightly colored in the bunch.
What's the difference between amelanistic and melanistic?
So they're opposites. Melanistic means you have melanin. So we as humans have melanin in our skin, which is a darker color. It can be in different shades of like brown and black and anything kind of in between, tan. So that's melanin is what causes our skins to change color, like after we get a sunburn and we get a tan. That's extra melanin. Our bodies can create it. And so that's the only pigment that we really have as humans. But corn snakes have 3 pigments. So they have melanin, but they also have xanthan, which is yellow, and erythrian, I think is how you say it, and that's red. So pretty much what most color morphs do is they either enhance a color the snake already has and make it brighter, or they take away or lessen the color that the snakes have. So when we have melanistic, that's just a snake that has melanin. That's just like any snake that has a normal amount of melanin. You could say if you're thinking like additional melanin, like there's a new hyper melanistic mutation out that is known as black diamond. I do not have one of those. They're currently, I think, the rarest morph in the world. But they have like a lot of extra blacks on them. And so that's a hyper melanism because it's extra, it's on top of, whereas hypo is the opposite. So you've probably heard of like hyperglycemia versus hypoglycemia. The hyper meaning extra, too much of, hypo being hyper being too much of, hypo being not enough of. And so it's the same type of thing. So we have hypomelanism, and that reduces the blacks to grays. It just kind of, instead of taking it all away, just reduces it. And then amelanism is a lack of melanin completely. So this snake has no blacks anywhere on its body, even though it keeps the yellows and the reds. I hope that helped.
Yeah.
She has white bits on her. Wait, what? Hold on. I have this weird thing on my chat that like keeps it like cuts off the side of the chat. White bits on her knee. I don't know if we're talking about me.
I think he's talking about his dog.
Oh, okay. I only like I tend to read chat backwards. It's I don't know what it is, but so there's the amelanistic. A just means lack of or none of. It's very like if you learn Latin, which I did learn in college, a lot of these things. Whoop, I think I lost a snake. Hold on. A lot of these things become easier to understand. Give me a second. Okay, found her. Trying to make a break for it.
Yes, it did. And you know, I can understand that pretty easily because anything that's like if you're febrile, you have a high fever, you're febrile. But if you're afebrile, you don't have a fever.
Right. Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
Yeah.
Corn snake terms are a lot like medical terms.
Yeah.
In that way. Okay, this one is similar to what I was talking about earlier about how anerythristic removes all the reds. This is actually a charcoal, and charcoal is a type of anerythristic, but it is not the same as our typical anery type A. It's a little bit darker, a little less contrast. The eyes are a darker color. So it's easy to get these confused for the typical anery, which I don't know if I got one or not, to be honest. Some of them are in shed, so I didn't. But anyway, this one is one type of anerythristic. And I do have videos on my channel that go through deep dives of like all of these morphs. So if anybody is like wanting to learn about how to tell the difference between an anerythristic and a charcoal, I have a video on that. This one is also from my very first corn snake line. And so most of them are pretty docile too. The sun-kissed wasn't, but that's just because it's a sun-kissed. This snake wants to look at me so bad. Keep trying to get it to face the camera.
Pretty.
She's awful cute. I'm really surprised that she's still here sometimes. Like, I just think she has the cutest personality. Look that way. She has just like big black eyes, and I just think she's adorable. But I have too many of them already. I have so many of them that I obviously can't keep them all. So, don't you want me? She's like, hello. Of course I do.
There she is. How old is she?
About 3 months.
Oh, wow.
Let's see. Maybe 2 months. They don't have the exact hatch date, but she was kind of like a middle of the season baby. So probably closer to 2 months old.
That's showing us pink, those spots down her back.
Yeah, it kind of has a little bit of an iridescence to it. That's another thing that charcoals will often have instead of aneries is this sort of like blushed undertone to them a little bit. They have kind of a blushing on their cheeks as well. I don't know if you can see it or not.
Oh, yeah.
She's got a little bit of that blushing right behind her eye there. So that's another difference. Like when we're telling the difference between anery and charcoal, like that's one thing that we look for is that blushing, especially on the cheeks. The aneries can get kind of a pinkish brown going down their back when they get older, but they don't usually have it this young. So just kind of mentioning that. And you can also have a combination anery charcoal, which is even more difficult to identify.
Oh, yeah.
I keep them all because I'm an aspiring animal hoarder. Yeah, I pretty much am an animal hoarder, so I get that. I'm trying not to be. That's why things are for sale. So there's your sort of opposite end of the spectrum. We had the white
Yeah.
and pink, and now we have the black and gray here. And
Yeah.
obviously started with the normal, and we had the amelanistic. I know I'm just recapping, like this is like you're in school, and I'm trying to remind you what's going to be on the test.
I like that.
Her belly as well.
Beautiful. Wow.
Yeah,
Almost like
and she's
piano
very
keys.
calm. Say what?
Sorry, I was gulping coffee. Almost like piano keys.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, especially hers, because she's definitely got that contrast. I have one more baby, and then in a yearling and an adult. So this one, I'm again another one that I'm really surprised is still here. Come here, buddy. All right, this is a snow pinstripe motley. He's going to be hard to kind of see too. I'm going to have to put a shadow over him maybe. Yeah, so you can see he's that white and pink, but he's got a sort of stripy and spotted pattern on him instead of the typical saddle blotch pattern. I try to trying to give him a shadow so that the light's not so harsh on him, so you guys can see him better. There he is. And I just think he's just gorgeous, and I don't know why he's still here. If he stays for too long, he might be staying permanently. I don't know. Sometimes I get to a point where I just say, "You're not for sale anymore. You're mine." What do they eat this small? So they are eating pinky mice, frozen thawed, and I feed. Some of them will also eat the reptilings, the quails, the micro and or mini quail. I'm sorry, not quail, frog lynx. I feed quail to the adults. So if you're doing the reptilink thing, I do have a code, SarahSnake27 at checkout at reptilinks.com. And it gets you a discount, and it also helps me. But also, I really like reptilinks for the snakes. I think that they've like been a lifesaver, especially for small snakes that don't want to eat pinky mice. Yeah, I know. Frog is weird, but corn snakes will eat frog in the wild. And so it's not as weird as it may seem. It's kind of weird to think about feeding it to your snakes because everybody always does just mice or rats or whatever. But the quail or the why do I keep saying quail? I feed quail to the adults. But the frog links are good for the baby snakes. But otherwise, they're all eating.
What about like fish, like guppies? Will they eat like fish?
They will not eat fish. It's if they could, I would definitely be feeding them guppies because I have a million guppies too. But no, they garter snakes will, and water snakes will. Like there are a few that will, but corn snakes will not really do that. So there's
that would make feeding the babies easy.
It would make it a lot easier, and that's why that's one other reason that I like reptilinks. Like I know this is not the reptilinks podcast, but they aren't as gross, I feel like, or as cute to just like have a mouse or a rat feeding it to an animal. Yeah, reptilinks were originally, I think, for actually tegus and stuff, and then the hognose. Them being so good for hognose, I think, kind of ended up being a happy accident. Because I talk to them on Facebook occasionally, the guys who made a reptilinks, and from what I understand, someone in the hognose community requested frog because hognose will eat frog in the wild, and it just took off in the hognose community like super quickly. And so that's why I think a lot of people think that they are meant for hognose, is because maybe originally like the thought of putting frog in was like had hognose in mind, but the concept of the reptilink was, I think, for lizards originally and not for snakes. It just sort of took off in that direction, and ever since they started doing quail and especially quail rabbit mix, I've been with them ever since then. Hognose's primary diet is toads. Yes. Well, toads are frogs. Toads are a kind of frog, basically. So, like,
What
kind of.
what's Huawei saying there? They're not pescatarians.
Correct. Pescatarian would be fish eating. So yes, they are not pescatarians.
Oh,
They and they don't eat bugs either. So worms are not going to be a thing. If you wanted to feed worms and bugs or whatever, a garter snake is going to be more for you. So if you want to feed fish, if you want to feed worms, garter snake is going to be the way to go. And they make pretty good snakes. They're very different to own. They're just I find them to be not as inviting as corn snakes are, but they're very alert and they can be fun, and you can house multiple in the same enclosure. So a lot of people like garter snakes for all those reasons. Like they can make good pets for sure. I prefer corn snakes, but I'm like no shame on anybody who would rather have a garter snake because it is easier to find food for them. You can just like go to a pet store and get feeder goldfish. Actually, you don't want to go with feeder goldfish too much for them, maybe once in a while. But I think that there's something that goldfish have that can like build up in the system of a garter snake. And so you want goldfish specifically to not be super common. But getting feeder fish and getting worms can be a lot easier if that's something that you'd rather do, then a garter snake is a good fit. I just feel like I'm rambling at this point, so somebody stop me, please.
no, I'm learning. I'm actually taking notes.
Well, I'm glad that someone cares enough to listen because I got a ton of things to say, obviously. He's just so cute. Anyway, so he's
Oh, I
another
had a
one. He's
que-
actually from a line that's like newer to my collection, but he's so sweet. He's just so chill. And he's the only one that this year that I hatched that's like him. Oh, come back, buddy. I'm going to put him back.
Oh, wow.
Okay. I have one more young one and then an adult. So give me just 1 second here. Okay. So this is a yearling. And I know that I've brought out these yearlings before. But these
Gee.
are
A little bit feisty looking there too.
a little bit. There she goes. So they are caramel tesseras. They have very cool belly patterns. Each one is very different. But she has like, did she poop on me? Hold on. Nope, no poops. Okay, I thought I saw poop. I'm trying to get it so you can see her head pattern.
That's pretty. Have you noticed the differences are like the females generally more feisty than males overall, or is there not really a difference?
I'd say there's not much of a difference, except the females will ovulate 2 to 4 times a year, and they can be cranky within that ovulation period. And I have also noticed that, at least for me, from my experience, the female snakes tend to like male humans better, and then male snakes tend to like female humans better. And so I don't have the connection with most of my females that I do with my males. And that's kind of how it's been with other people that I've known that had a lot of corn snakes. Like a lot of times the men will be a lot more attached to their females and the women will be more attached to their males. And I noticed that the snakes kind of will mimic that. This girl's just on the go. She just wants to move. She hasn't struck at me though. She just wants to move.
I have one of those in my group.
Yeah.
She's pretty.
There she goes. Kind of chilling a little bit. I just love her. I'm keeping her sister, one of her sisters. I have her and 2 of her sisters available. So if anybody's wanting like a well-established size yearling that, with a little bit of holding makes a really good pet, Like, obviously, when I first got her out of the enclosure, she was like wanting to be on the move, but that just happens. That's snakes, corn snakes, I guess. Ball pythons aren't really that way, but I just love her pattern, and she's so cool. I don't know. I always wonder. It's like I picked her sister to keep because I liked her sister just a little bit better, and I can't keep them all. But
Yeah.
I'm still always baffled when babies like her don't have a home yet. It's crazy because she's so cool looking.
How many snakes do you have there
Like
I mean-
in the pile next to me or
in your house?
in my house? Well, I guess it depends on if you're planning on asking the HOA. Just kidding. I think I have like 50 adults ish, and then probably another like 20 like sub-adults and yearlings. Combined 20 of those, and then like 3 dozen babies, maybe 4 dozen babies that are for sale right now.
A little over
Please
100.
calm down.
That's not ridiculous.
It's ridiculous to some people. Some people can't even understand why I'd have one snake, more or less a ton of them.
I know.
Which I kind of understand, but also like the other day, someone commented on one of my photos on Facebook, like, "Oh, you better kill that snake." And I was like, "Nope, banning you." And like before I could ban him, he'd already commented on something else that was like, "Kill the snakes before they kill you," or something like that. And I was like, "Do you see this snake? It's in the palm of my hand. Like it's not doing anything. It's not going to be doing anything to me." I don't know. It's just crazy how like it's like, yeah, I understand that some people may not like them, but to go to that extreme, like why? Like you're wasting your time. I don't know. Whatever. Anyway,
Trolls are going to be trolls.
yeah, and I just blocked him. I just banned him from the page. I'm like, I don't need the drama, so
No.
he can just go be dramatic somewhere else. And if that's how he chooses to live his life, who am I to stop him? But he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to make me go through that. So
Right.
either way,
She's beautiful.
so if anybody's looking for a nice, brightly colored, like damn near golden colored snake,
She's prettier than mine.
all of her sisters pretty much look like this. So if anybody, and these are also kind of light colored compared to some, and they might have some type of hypo going on. I'm not sure. I don't want to advertise them as having that because I don't know. So, you're getting at least what I can see. Reptile ID Facebook page in Alabama bans those people. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what I did. I just banned people. I just banned him. I was like, you have no reason to be here. I don't want you here. You don't want to be here. Nobody wants you here. Like, just why? And obviously, if I have pictures of like 50 snakes on my page and I post a photo nearly every single day, like I'm not the one who's going to be just killing the snakes. So like, it's a waste of time. Can a female have eggs even if there's no male? They can. They don't typically. It's rare, but it can happen. And that also means that those eggs can become stuck. Like the females can become egg bound on like non-fertile eggs. It is rare, but it does happen. And that's one thing when people ask me, like, is it better to have a male or a female as a pet? I usually say male because they just have there's less of a chance that they're going to be moody for 2 to 4 times a year. And there's less chance of any medical complications due to like producing eggs. And the only thing you really have to worry about with them is in the spring for like 6 weeks, they might stop eating because that's breeding season and males just don't eat during breeding season. So like, that's the worst thing that's going to happen really with a male versus a female. So even though it's like not common for females to have those issues, like it's not common for them to be bad pets while they're ovulating. It's not common for them to produce eggs, and it's not common for them to get egg bound by eggs. There's still that extra percentage of may not be the best pet, compared to the males.
When Susie asked if they could have eggs, it made me think about, I know some people that just started, where they didn't just start up a business, but they just started promoting it. The Luxor reptiles, and I mod for them sometimes, and I've joined their page and stuff. But anyway, they've just grown crazy, like huge the last month, and it's because of their salesmanship and all that.
Huh?
And they're live like 8 hours every single day.
Wow.
And they're ball pythons and like eastern indigo and stuff like that. And they've got some
Okay.
huge monster snakes. But one of their snakes is I don't know if it's a berm or what it is, but it's a big snake, like 13 foot. And it's the daughter of another snake from a guy that's famous for large snakes. I'm not into those, but I don't mind watching them,
Mm-hmm.
But it had eggs and fertilized them itself.
Yeah.
And I forget the name of that, but they were just, this guy has an ultrasound, just to ultrasound his ball pythons to see if they have follicles and stuff, and, to know when to breed them and all that. But anyway, somebody asked just for a demo, like on the live stream, if he would ultrasound. So he made a video of it. He redid it, that one snake, and it has eggs, it has follicles. So they're wondering if that one daughter isn't like the mother and has fertile eggs in her. That's just crazy.
It could be. It's called parthenogenesis.
Yes.
Where they, the females can just like clone themselves, basically.
Yeah.
What's interesting with snakes is, well, there's a lot of interesting things, but so a female corn snake can clone herself and get males out of it, because they have both the male and female genetics, basically. Like, I'm not going to go into the details on how all of that can happen. Not all of the words are in my brain, but female humans are XX and male humans are XY. But snakes don't use the XXXY system. I believe it's called the ZW system. But the females are the ones that have like the two different ones, whereas in humans, it's the males that have the two different ones. They have X and Y. Females don't have the Y. But in corn snakes, the females have Z and W, and the males are just both ZZ, I think. I can't remember exactly, so don't hold me to all of those things. But that means that if a female clones herself, she can produce males.
Right.
And it's more likely for her to produce males, I think.
Wow.
Or at least it's equally as likely. So that's a thing. That's a thing that can happen. Reptiles are really good at making sure that they can reproduce when they want to.
Wow.
She is staring me down. She's like, how dare you still be holding me?
She seems like she's enjoying it, though.
She's doing okay. She's still like squirming a little bit. Like, if I do get loose, I won't be hurt about it.
Dragon Lair says females are ZW and males are ZZ.
Okay, there you go. ZW and ZZ.
You said you got it right.
So I did say it right. Okay. I think the WW is the one that can't live. I think. I'm not 100. No, because that would just be a male. I don't know. I don't know if those can survive or not. I can't remember. I did a bunch of research on it when I was in college, and then kind of once I got the basics, I just stopped memorizing things. And that's my bad. I should probably know that. So you can tell a female snake to act for herself as she can. I mean, basically, she's like, we don't need no man. All right, I'm going to put her down. She looks like she's about to poop on me.
That's weird. I know that I have the self-cloning shrimp, but they're supposed to only be able to make more females.
Okay.
You have them too, Dragon Lair, I think.
This is the female of the hour here.
Oh my gosh.
So this is an adult. She's a little chunky. I just got her recently. So
Oh,
I
look
want
at
you to see that
color.
pattern. Oh, geez.
Oh, very, very pretty.
That color and that pattern. So she is what is known as the odd morph, which I don't like the name. Most people don't like the name, but we respect the namers in this community. So
another question about the female thing.
yeah,
So if a female like clones herself and has babies, will they all look like her?
no, not necessarily. They can, but so like for example, this snake carries the anerythristic mutation. And if she cloned herself, half of her babies, a quarter of her babies, would also be anerythristic on top of being amelanistic. So because she's an amelanistic, if she basically bred to herself, then all of her babies would at least be based in amelanistic. But because she carries an anerythristic gene, then you would add that anerythristic on top of the amelanistic for 1/4 of the babies. So a quarter of
Would you
babies
consider it like inbreeding?
technically, I think it is. So I wouldn't be breeding the siblings like back together or anything like
Yeah.
because like they pretty much share the same DNA. It's just the way that things line up is different from the way that they would line up with people.
Okay.
And she's a bit of a different one. She there's not too many like her out there. And one of my friends who had her was like, "Hey, I'm phasing out some projects. Do you want to work something out and get the odd project?" And I was like,
Oh,
"Sure."
she's very pretty. Very,
Thank-
very pretty.
I agree. And she's very sweet. She's very just chill. She probably won't. So there's also been a study done on the odd mutation, and there's a thought that maybe females have a hard time passing eggs. And so we're not sure if we're going to breed her because of that, but I'm hoping that she passes any like checks on that because her pattern is so cool. She looks a lot like a prairie king snake, I think. I don't know if anyone has ever seen a prairie king snake, but I used to have prairie kings, and they had this exact same pattern. It was very, very different pattern. It's kind of just, it's got those little dots along the sides, like the diamonds, kind of.
Yeah.
Very cool.
How old is she? Do you know?
She, I think, is 5 years old. If I remember correctly. No, she might be a little older than that. 6. I think she's 6. I don't know. I don't remember what year it is. I think she was hatched in 2017. Can you put odd in a normal color? Yes. Yes, you can. I do not have one. However, I have 2 female and 1 male het odd babies, and those I will be breeding together, and some of the babies from them will be regular odds. Regular odds. Don't know what to say about that.
Well, what are the odds? I've never heard of that.
So the pattern, excuse me, you can see like these like dots, these kind of twinning dots. I'm trying to these. So that's the pattern of the odd corn snake. They have those sort of weird, skinny, off-center dots instead of like the normal pattern. And it's apparently an incomplete dominant mutation, just like amelanistic or the majority of the other mutations that we have in corn snakes. And it can be bred for. The problem is, as I mentioned, and as a lot of people have said to me, like the females probably shouldn't breed. So would it be a normal odd? It would just be, oh, yeah, you'd be interested in normal odd. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. It'll be minimum 2025 before the ones that I have, the smaller ones, will be breeding, because they're like yearling size right now.
Yeah.
So they're definitely not going to be ready next year, and they might be ready the year after that. We'll see. And if she passes all checks and the male is big enough, I might try to breed her to the het odd male, and so I could get about 50%. The odds for odd would be about 50% in that case. I just think that the name odd is so funny. I don't know.
Wonder who came up with that.
I know I'm supposed to know, but I forget her name. I forget her name every single time. And then someone tells me and I'm like, "Oh yeah, that was the name." I'm trying to look it up right now.
It is awesome, isn't it? I love it too, Dragon. You could get you a prairie king snake in the interim.
Yeah, prairie kings are amazing, amazing pets. Let's see. I'm looking for the name right now because I know exactly where to find it. It's just a matter of getting there. Okay, let's see. Her name was.
Hey, hello.
Hello.
I've not seen you around for a while.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm trying to find this lady's name. Dr. something that doesn't help anyone. All comments, please. Someone told it to me in a comment. I'm trying to find that comment. Well, I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't remember what her name is, and I feel so bad about that. I know she worked for BDSU. So if we look up odd corn snake BDSU, then might find it. I can't find it. I'm sorry. I don't know.
I can try to find it later.
I want to be able to just tell you, but for some reason it's not wanting me to find it. I don't know. I want to tell you so bad. And I remember someone saying it to me in a comment thread, which is what I'm trying to look for right now. Feel free to talk amongst yourselves. I'm sorry you're waiting on me.
We've just got a fellow that's in our fish fam that hasn't been around a lot lately, and so he's popped in the chat. So we're all saying
Hello.
hi to Big J.
Hello.
What's up, Big J?
Oh, Underwood. Dr. Underwood from BDSU.
Underwood.
Eileen Underwood. EILEN. And Underwood is spelled how you imagine it would be. Okay, sorry that took a minute, but yes. Eileen Underwood did a whole study on them. I have not read the whole study. I need to. I didn't know that it was actually a proven mutation, but it is. It's just not like it's just not, it hasn't become popular, I guess. It hasn't become like recognized in the community. And I think part of that is because of the name Odd. Like, if I had seen this, I might call it like a prairie corn or something, like call the morph prairie because it looks like a prairie king.
Right.
Because we've done that with the milk snake morph. We have milk snake phase in corn snakes. I don't know why we can't have a prairie in corn snakes, but it's not my decision. It is not my decision. We are stuck with odd, but I do think that that's part of the reason that the community itself hasn't like really recognized it as a morph, because odd just sounds like something that hasn't been named yet.
Right.
It sounds like something that's still waiting on a name.
You're right.
Like we had like the mystery line and the weirdo line, and we're still calling the weirdo line for some reason. Another thing that I feel like is just waiting to be named, but it's fine. It's whatever. And then there's Gene X, which is another morph that's a pattern morph. And I'm like, again, it just sounds like something that's waiting to be named. Although Gene X, I think, sounds like cooler than odd. I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's not my decision. Once again, it's not my decision. I can think it's dumb. Other people can think it's really cool or fun. That's fine. Yeah, that's just my opinion. She's very sweet. Her name is Sprinkles. The members right now are voting on what to name the others in her line or in like the project. I have members on my channel, sarahsnakeshop.com, and if you are a well-started or higher, you can vote on names for snakes. So whether it's new snakes that come in or snakes that I hatch or whatever, you guys get to name those if you are a well-started or higher member on my channel, if that's something that you're interested in. I do a poll pretty often. I've been doing polls for that.
Cool.
She looks like she's about to poop again, too. Although I did just feed them a couple days ago, so it makes sense. So there we go. That's my last corn snake.
When you're planning to breed them, I'm thinking about ball pythons. Do you like look for right out of my head, not eggs, but
Follicles?
follicles?
Not, I mean, kind of. I don't so much look for follicles as like I can usually tell when a female is ovulating. Like I don't need to look. This girl's a little fatty. She came to me this way. She's on a diet now. But like usually I can kind of look at the snake, and especially from like here down, and I
Yeah.
can kind of be like, okay, yeah, there she's ovulating. Like I can just tell. I can just tell by looking. They're usually a little bit more bloated. Usually also a little more cranky. And she's mad. And yeah, so I don't need to like look in that way. I just say, okay, she's ovulating. I'm gonna put her with the male. Yeah,
Cool.
I don't know. I don't know if it's just me. I'm sure that I'm not the only one who can, you know.
Right, right.
But it might be different with ball pythons too. It might be more difficult to tell when they're ovulating.
Well,
I don't know. I don't have pythons.
I sure can't tell because I'm new to reptiles. Period, like 5 or 6 years, but I've been trying to breed some ball pythons, and so far, I mean, they lock, but so far, no breeding, no eggs, no fertile eggs or anything.
Okay. No
I'll keep
infertile eggs
trying.
either.
No eggs.
I don't
no
know
follicles.
what the preggers period is for ball pythons. Because I
The
know with
what?
corn snakes, how long they're gravid.
Oh
I don't
yeah.
know how long they're normally gravid for. Like with corn snakes, I know it's like 6 weeks ish. But I don't know with ball pythons. I don't know how long
I
they stay
think
gravid.
it's 59 days, 60 days, something. I think.
Okay.
I'm sure Dragon Lair will know, but it's right around that.
Trying to get her to face the camera.
I'll have to tell you about off camera. The corn snake police finally got me good for keeping my juveniles together. I mean, ripped me up.
Oh no.
Yep, I survived it. I'm blocked from that channel, but I'm like, God. I volunteered the information to you guys that I was keeping them. I mean, they ripped me up and down.
Yeah. They can be brutal.
I'm still, it's worse than the beta fish police. I'm like, God, my corn snakes all get along great. And they talked about them being competitive for places to bask and food. And no, they don't have to compete for that because I make sure that they all get what they need. So, whatever.
Yeah, I haven't seen too many people actually have issues with cohabitating. It's just kind of one of those like, oh, it's better safe than sorry type of situations.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I agree.
But like, It's different if you have like a few that are together, like 2, maybe 3, but it's obviously different if you have like 30 of them together,
Oh yeah,
or even
sure.
like 10 of them together.
Yeah.
Like that I can understand people having an issue with. Um, like in my early days of keeping snakes, I did cohab. Like I kept 3 males in a 75-gallon enclosure and didn't have too many issues. During breeding season, I did have 2 of the males were fighting a little bit, and so I separated
Yeah.
then. But I mean, like I'm always going to tell people that it's better to not cohabitate, but I also am not going to lie and say that I've never done it or that I've had issues with it really. Because like even when I did cohab a couple snakes, 2, like I said, 2 to 3, I didn't have problems with them. There was no issue. Like they didn't, yeah, like they didn't try to eat each other. They didn't try to kill each other. There was no food competition. They were always in the same hide, even if there were multiple hides like in the same area. Even when I would move that hide to a different spot, they would still go back under that same hide. So it's like, okay, they don't care that much about the temperature. They both just really like this hide. So I'd get another hide like that, and then they'd still just both be in the same hide. So it's like, it's on some level, they are purposely being in the same place. And I'm not saying that it's good for them or that they enjoy it, but it's not one of those situations where they're like freaking out because they're together. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're
Right.
usually pretty chill.
Right. And what you said about the breeding and all that, I'm watching for that, but these snakes aren't anywhere near that age or that size. So I'm watching, and I know that may change at some point. But right now, they lay together, they bass together. There's only one I told you before that's a little street punk, and it'll grab pinkies out of the other's mouths. So I don't
Uh,
let that happen. I take that one out, and it'll eat until it can't eat anymore if I let it. But they get along. They don't fight.
yeah,
If they did, I wouldn't keep them together. So,
right.
and I have an adult female, probably about the size you're holding there, and she's a normal. She's from this area, and somebody caught her when she was little. So unfortunately, she couldn't go back wild now, but traded her into
Yeah.
the pet store, and I got her, and she'll only eat live, unfortunately. But I'm trying to convert her over, but. I didn't even think a second about putting her in there with them. There's no way. She would probably kill them. She would probably eat them. She'd definitely fight them. And she's just way too big to be with little juveniles.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. And like even if she wouldn't purposely hurt them, like she could sit on top of them and suffocate them or
Sure.
something.
Right, right.
So, yeah, I mean, if you're gonna have snakes together, they at least should be the same gender and the same size.
Yeah,
That's kind of always been like, if you're going to just make sure that it's not going to be a perpetual breeding situation and make sure that one is not like too much bigger than the other one.
yeah. It's kind of like axolotls. People will keep them together and just let them breed and breed and breed to death.
Oof.
But you don't hear well, I guess the axolotl police would be on them, but it's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing. Sorry, I just had to vent, let you know that
It's fine.
they finally got me.
Yeah, I dread that. Like I have been chewed up and down before. When I would there was a time when I would record myself cutting corn snake eggs live, and that got me into a lot of trouble a long time ago. Um, and so I just don't post that anymore.
Yeah,
Sometimes it'll just be like, oh yeah, I cut a couple of the eggs open, um, so that, and I don't do it with all of them, and like the only time I really have done that lately is if it's like a really uncommon morph. So like her babies her eggs would be cut open like, if I see one of them, I'm like cut open, I'll probably go ahead and do the rest of them myself. And it's the same thing with the Golden Project and just some other like rare projects that at this point we're not concerned about whether or not they will like, be strong enough to get out of the egg and survive, we will worry about that later on. Right now, we're just trying to get more of them, and then we will worry about outcrossing later. So we're not worried right now about, oh, well, you're gonna, make the lines weaker because you're cutting the eggs open, or whatever other moral problems people have with cutting eggs. It's like, I'm making sure that they can get out, and we just need more of them before we can worry about if the line is strong. We need to have a line before we can make the line stronger. And
Right.
so that's kind of the thing. It's like, if we only have 5 of these snakes in the world, I'm more concerned about making sure that we get 10 to 20 to 50 of these snakes before we start worrying about how strong they are as babies, if that makes sense. We can
Yeah.
outcross later. We just have to have them first. So there's my long rant about all that. Like, there's going to be things that annoy, like, no, you're going to annoy people no matter what you do. And some of those people are going to be vocal, some of them won't be. The ones that are vocal are usually the ones that haven't had as much experience, in my opinion. I think the people that have more experience are the ones that are going to take things with a bit more nuance and try to understand, like, what really is and really isn't bad, what is and really isn't harmful. Like, how far does one have to go before it's enough? And there's never going to be a far enough. And so you just have to do the best that you can do. And that's it. Like, you're never going to make everybody happy. There's always going to be somebody that can say, well, you could do this better. And then you do that better. And they say, okay, you could do this thing over here better. And then you do that better. And they say, oh, well, you didn't do the first thing as good as I wanted you to. So you have to go back and change that again. And
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what you do. Someone's going to be upset. And
Right.
there's definitely going to be the morality police in any hobby, where it's like, oh, well, it's not that it's bad for them, but if you want the best for them, then you do this. It's like, okay, if it's not bad for them and they're happy and I'm happy and everything's working out, why are you talking to me? Why are you talking to me? If there is a problem, then come to me and be like, hey, you got a problem. But there's no actual problem happening here. So that's my rant about, like, everybody's gonna have somebody's gonna have this holier than thou attitude, no matter what hobby you're in and no matter how good you're doing. So
Right.
really, you just have to do the best you can.
Right.
And if they're not happy, they weren't going to be happy anyway. So their happiness is not your responsibility. Anyway, that's life lessons with Sarah. Other people's happiness is not your responsibility.
I know, but it makes you feel awful when when people say that you're being mean to them or that you're stressing them, or and
I know. Yeah.
you want to do the best you can.
Yeah. And if you are doing the best you can, then that's the best you can. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I don't know. I think you're doing fine. I don't necessarily, like I said, go out of my way to recommend cohabbing, but I have done it successfully myself. I have personally not had issues with it. I don't do it anymore, but it's just because as a breeder, like, that is one of those things that, because people will come chew me up and down about it, I don't do it. And it is possibly less stressful on the snakes. I'm not sure how much of a difference I actually notice, but then again, it has been years since I cohabbed. So,
Right.
When
you were talking about the hide, the two of them liking the hide, it crossed my mind that maybe they liked each other and not the hide. Maybe they, on some level, they just both wanted to stay together.
Yeah, and that's one of the sort of underlying thoughts on that is, like, if they will always go to the same place, both of them, do they actually enjoy being around each other? And that's I feel like that's a fair question, but I don't really know. I don't know anybody who is willing to really take the time to answer it, I guess, without just jumping to, like, oh, it's just a coincidence. Oh, they both just thought that spot was the warmest or whatever. I don't know. I can't read their minds.
Yeah.
But if they're healthy and happy and they're not hurting each other,
Right.
If there's no diseases to spread, then like, eh, you know, it's kind of like arguing with moms about the kind of car seat you use for your child. As long as you're using a car seat for your child that's
Sure.
not going to obviously kill them. Like,
Right.
and again, like people are going to have a problem with no matter which car seat you pick.
Right.
So pick your car seat.
Yeah. I probably worry too much about what people think, but that's all right. Um, another hot topic, um, since you're in the mood to rant, no, I'm teasing you,
Oh,
is
I'm always in the mood to rant. Don't you
all
worry.
right. All right. I've noticed is, and if you're getting low on time, let me know. We're we just passed an hour, so Susie had to leave us because she had another commitment.
Oh,
But people know they can come and go as they please, of course, you know. So it's a fluid chat, of course. So anyway, this thing called enrichment.
hmm.
To me, it's important. It's very important. That's one of the reasons that I do cohab. I feel like it's like having two cats. You know, they're going to entertain each other more than you can entertain one cat. You know, kind of that. Not exactly, but kind of like that. Um, you know, but it's important for me to have structure and hides and the right heat. But people say ball pythons like to stay in a hole in the ground and just be fed. That's not true. They definitely enjoy climbing and they enjoy structure. And I just did a video about that a day or two ago, saying that my ball pythons were social and proved me wrong. Well, I'm getting chewed up about it already, but that's what I wanted, was discussion about it. But I have two that are the same age and size, and I've had them together 6 months, and they don't do anything without the other one. They wait on each other, they climb together, they eat together, they sleep together. Of course, that's the heat pad area, but they don't come. They're awake together, they're asleep together. It's just like they're hand in hand. If they had little hands, but so you can't ignore that. You
Yeah,
know, but enrichment, I kind of got off there. What are
that's
your
fine.
thoughts?
I think that you can have a reasonably enriching enclosure that's not huge. I think that that's one thing. There's a big push right now towards corn snakes in huge enclosures, like minimum 55-gallon enclosures for a single corn snake. And again, that's one of those, like, the morality police are coming to tell you that your snake needs more space. And of course, everybody says that about every animal. It's like, okay, they need more space until they get hit on the road outside because I've let them outside. So it's kind of like, obviously you're not going to let your snakes outside, but I think that you can have reasonably sized enclosures that are still enriching. I think that you can still have basking areas, you can still have plant decor, you can still have hides, and it doesn't have to be a gigantic enclosure. That's my opinion. I like the like 48 quart tubs, I think. Those are about the size of a like full length corn snake, and they do just fine. Like, I mean, generally speaking, I mean, I think my snakes are happy. They eat, they shed, they poop, they let me handle them. They are not aggressive. You know what I mean? Like, I have no reason to believe that my snakes are not happy snakes. Most of them are very fit. She is an exception right now because I just got her and she came from a home where she was a little overfed. So she's a little chunky. But she's on a diet and I get her out and exercise her. And so there's a way to give an animal an enriching life without it always having to be a gigantic enclosure. And I like, that's, if we're, I don't know, we're just talking about enrichment. Like, I don't necessarily think that a snake needs to be able to climb, but I think that it's nice if they can. So if you can give your snake that space, I think it's really good for them. I think it's good for them to have basking area and UVB. Excuse me. But like, I also understand that some things are not going to be able to be that specific for each and every snake. So it's, again, one of those things, like, do the best you can. And I think that a lot of big breeders probably aren't doing the best they can, just from what I see. But because like I've seen some breeders that have their snakes in like little teeny tiny drawer enclosures, and I don't mind the drawer enclosures, but some of them are just way too small, in my opinion. Excuse me, the air is so dry in this house. So that's all I've got, I think, on that. Do your best with what you have.
I recently heard someone refer to snakes that are, like with the drawers and drawers and drawers of snakes, that they're working snakes, that they're not pets. And I had never thought about that breeding snakes are working snakes. So I don't know. There's so many. Go ahead.
I would say it can be that way, but like all of my snakes are also pets. Like I make sure that they get out every single week and that they're held multiple times a week, especially for babies that I'm trying to like raise up to be nice adults.
Right.
And I mean, it's kind of like having a dog like a sheepdog that actually does herd sheep. It's like, yeah, they're your pet, but they also do have a job.
Right.
But like they're also your pet and you love them. Like, and I'm not going to put my snakes in any like situation where they would be unhealthy for working for me, like I'm not going to breed a female that's obviously way too, or a female that's way too old. I'm not going to try to breed a male that's had a hemipene get damaged. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not going to try to breed an animal that's sick. Like, so it's like, yeah, but a lot of things and people in the world are working, and not all of them are being abused just because they're working. So that's another thing to sort of mention is like, maybe some dogs are being abused in like kennels and things, and maybe some snakes are being abused and or neglected. I'm not saying that that's not happening, but it's just because people are breeding dogs or snakes, that doesn't mean that those animals are not loved a lot. So just kind of, yes, there's a difference, but I wouldn't linger too much on the fact that they are working, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, they still need to be, but a lot of breeders I've noticed in general have pretty high standards, like with opening those drawers and checking and see if they pooped and refreshing their water every couple of days. And, they take care of their investments. So,
yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think for most breeders, especially if you're going to be successful, you have to be able to take care of the animals long term, and if they're, yes, I agree with you. I tend to start rattling, and I just need to end with yes, I agree with you.
Yeah. Oh, I'm the same. Yeah. But your rattles are educational, so that's why I'm picking your brain. Does anybody else have any thoughts or comments or questions? Dragon Lair gave a good resource. I highlighted it there, and Huawei did go and post the link in there, so I'll check that out. Some of my snakes, I don't feel like that I'm really giving them enrichment other than the structure and maybe moving things around. Like my milk snake, it doesn't want to be bothered. It does not want to be held. It's a king snake, so it really doesn't want to be messed with. So I just move its stuff around and let it do its tunneling and come out at night and eat mice that I've left there for it. And
yeah. Hope we're moving.
did that just glitch my signal?
Yeah, I think you glitched a little bit there. We got you back.
Room, yeah. I've moved all my reptiles back into one room, and I can barely get them in here. It's crazy.
Yeah, it happens. We try to put them all in a room. It's like, oh, I have enough reptiles to fill up a whole room. Okay.
I still have a 40 breeder tank I need to put in, and there's no place, but I have a closet right over there that it'll just fit in. That I can open that door when I'm in here. So, yep. Anybody else have any questions or comments? Mike, you're awful quiet.
I was Bob is a closet snake addict.
You got it.
I mean, all of my snakes are also in a closet, so I can't really say anything.
You got it. I just got a little Egyptian false cobra.
Ooh, cute. I think
Yeah.
that's what you were showing when I first jumped in
Yeah.
here.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I forgot.
No worries.
When I
I
click
like
the
seeing
link,
it.
it takes me nowhere. Yeah, it's about to go into 55. I've got it in a 29, and so far the false cobra police haven't got me, but it's moving right after this. If I can figure out how to catch it without getting bit. Oh, the link doesn't work. There's another link. Well, great information as always. And if anybody is interested in any of Sarah's snakes, especially her specials, she's trying to move snakes. So, and a
Yeah,
lot of
I would say get those mystery boxes while we still have them. Because, like, I'm going to get to a point where I don't have enough for mystery boxes. If you start seeing mystery boxes disappear, it's because I'm running out of snakes. So if you are wanting a mystery box and you're like, hey, I like dark colors, give me something that I can breed in 3 years, I got you. But you don't even have to do that. You can be a complete mystery. You could just be like, whatever. But yeah, they're not going to last forever.
So the mystery boxes, you can say what you want in them, or
Like within reason, like I'm not going to be doing like, oh, I want this morph, and this morph exactly. Like, but if you say, hey, I want to breed in 3 years, what do you know, if you could pick out something that you think would go good in a diffuse line or something like that.
right.
And again, it can be a complete mystery. If you don't care and you're just like, hey, just give me some healthy snakes, I'll throw those in there. You know what I mean? Like I'll pick out which ones you get. I also have a wholesale out of egg babies as well. So if anybody is like wanting to do any reselling or anything like that, I have that option as well.
Okay.
And those are not going to have like feeding guarantees and stuff. They're just out of egg babies.
So they wouldn't have necessarily, well, like you said, out of egg, they wouldn't have even eaten, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. Like there's a good chance that they haven't eaten or shed yet.
Right. I did that with a couple of Solomon Island ground boys.
Oh, nice.
And I ended up losing them both because neither one would eat. They wouldn't eat guppies. They wouldn't eat anything.
Sad.
I even tried force feeding them. Assist feeding them. Never say force feeding. Assist feeding them, and I lost them both. But they told me, it was a really good price on them, but I just couldn't get them going.
Yeah, and sometimes breeders will they'll say it's out of egg, but it'll just be ones that they were having trouble feeding. So it's like, yeah, they haven't eaten, but they're 2 months old and they haven't eaten instead of they're a week old and they haven't eaten. That's a big difference.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, at that point, they're kind of failure to thrive. I would say.
Yeah. That's when you get the king snake involved.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yep. I guess my milk snake still does have a purpose, huh?
Yeah. I was
Well,
just telling my husband today that some snakes are cannibalistic and some aren't. And he was very surprised by that. He thought that if one species was going to be cannibalistic, then they all would be. And I mean, like, they can be, but a corn snake is very different from a king snake in the, like, willingness to be a cannibal aspect.
right. Yeah, I imagine they would have to be pretty hungry and be a bigger snake. And,
Yeah.
Somebody's got a hack.
Oh, geez.
A Chihuahua hack. All right. Well, no other questions or comments. We will end it up then. And Sarah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure. I always learn so much. Now I get to go back and try to decipher my notes because I write fast.
You can always watch this back again if needed.
Right. What'd you say, Pam?
I said it's great to see Mike back.
Yeah, for sure. For sure, he's looking all tan. I'm thinking he's been on the Riviera or something all this time. We were worried about him. So, but yeah, welcome back, Mike. Great to have you back. Okay. Well, good night, everybody, and thanks for hanging out. And thanks for everybody that are going to watch the live stream later on. That's where most people watch it, is when they can come back to it. So, all right. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thank you again. See ya.
I'll end it up.